Welcome to Fresno CityVision. I'm Randy Reed. We've all heard the saying that a dog is man's best friend. Well, we're here to talk today about how you can return the favor to your canine companion. My guest is Beth Caffrey. She's the Humane Education Administrator for the Central California Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, otherwise known as the SPCA. Beth, welcome to Fresno CityVision.
Hello.
Great to have you here.
It's wonderful to be here.
Today we're talking about dog licensing in
Yes.
the city of Fresno, why it's important to dog owners, to the dogs themselves, and also to the community at large. So why should an owner license their dog?
It's the quickest way to get them back home to them. Should they ever become lost, as far as the dog owner goes, it's really important that there's an ID on them so that we can match them up if anything happens.
Okay, so the dog should always be wearing the license?
Should always be wearing the license
Okay.
because, again, it's something that's traceable. It's a number that we can look up, and it's really important for their health and well-being.
Okay, talk a little bit about the process for obtaining a dog license. And first of all, I guess we should be clear that dog licensing is a requirement. It's a law in the city of Fresno. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
And that's for the community overall. It's important for health and safety reasons to have a license because you have to have a rabies vaccine to secure that license.
All right.
And that way we can show that they have been vaccinated properly because we do live in an area that we have had hotspots for rabies.
Okay, very good information. So again, the process that a dog owner goes through in order to obtain a license is what?
Is they visit their veterinarian or a vaccine clinic, receive their rabies vaccine, take their certificate to a licensing agency, which is downtown Fresno, or to the SPCA, and they bring in that rabies certificate and the payment for the license, and then we would actually issue the tag.
Okay, and what are the costs for licensing animals?
Currently it is $12 if the animal is spayed or neutered. If the animal is not spayed or neutered, then it would be $50.
Oh, so great advantage to spaying or neutering your pet.
Great advantage.
And is that message getting out about the importance of spaying and neutering? Are people getting how important that is?
It's getting out. We would like to see it promoted a lot more because it's very important for the animal's health and well-being. It prolongs their life, reduces the amount of cancers, and it helps them bond with their human a lot better.
Okay. What are the options that are available to the public for spaying and neutering? Are there low-cost spay and neuter clinics that are available?
We live in a fortunate community because we have high-volume spay and neuter clinics that are very low cost. We also have some funding through the SPCA. If you are unemployment or if you're on Social Security, we will pay for that spay and neuter. And even if you're a working single parent, for example, we will help support most of that spay and neuter. You may have a small copay.
Okay, so there's an opportunity to get reduced cost services for spaying and neutering your animal, and the benefit of doing so is the cost of licensing is less. So lots of advantages to that.
Oh, most definitely.
Okay. Let's talk about the enforcement side. As I mentioned earlier, it is a requirement that dog owners license their animals, so there must be some enforcement component. How is the licensing law enforced?
Correct. To keep our community healthy and to keep it safe for everyone, we want our humans and our dogs to be good citizens. So our animal control officers would be out on, say, leash law violations. So they would go out, and if the dog is running at large and we find out who the person is attached to that animal, we may then require to see their license.
Okay, so does someone have to carry the license with them at all times, or just it would be on the dog, of course?
It should be on the dog. That's
Right.
the most important thing because, again, it's that positive ID that stays with them. It's nice for you to keep IDs and information with you as well for your animals so that you can show that they're theirs, that you belong to you.
And if the animal does have the license on, there won't be any questions about whether or not he's in compliance with the law. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. Let's talk about the unwanted pet population issue as well as the lost animal population that comes into the animal shelter on a daily basis. How many animals are currently at the shelter, and how big of an issue is this?
It's a huge issue. Every single year we handle about 50,000 animals. Every day we have about 300 to 700 at our shelter. And many of them come in as strays where we have no ID, no human attached to them. So we are desperately seeking those persons. And that's where we would love to have that reuniting happen with a license, a microchip, something that leads us back to that person.
Okay, so again, walking through the process, if a dog comes in and it does have a license, but maybe it wandered away from home and wasn't recognized by the neighbors, so it's brought to the SPCA, what happens then?
Then we go and look up that license license so that we can find the person, their address, and their current information. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you keep all of your information current on your microchip and on your license as well.
Okay, very good. So for the animals that don't come in with licenses on them, and I'm guessing that's the majority of the case for you, what happens with those animals?
Then we hope that their person is going to come in looking for them. So we need them to actively come in person, positively ID their own animal, and at that time you would have some fees to pay to be able to reclaim your animal. And again, if they are licensed and spayed or neutered, it'll be a huge reduction in that rate.
Okay, that's very good to know. And do you certainly give animals away to deserving homes? Again, what's the process for adopting an animal that has not been claimed?
If it hasn't been reclaimed, then it would go up for adoption, and you come to our adoption center to visit with them, select one that would be appropriate for a family and be a good fit, and we would adopt it out. If it's not spayed or neutered, it would stay for that surgery, and then it would go home with you, usually the next day. And part of your adoption fee does include your license, so that we can set you up from the beginning to have everything that you need to live in this community. Also, what we see is that a lot of people don't actually get the license tag. That is the last step in actually licensing your animal. So even though you may have gotten the rabies vaccine and you may have paid for the license, you're not officially licensed until you receive the tag.
Okay, and does that automatically happen, or is there some extra process to obtaining the dog license tag?
There is an extra process. That's where you must visit a licensing office, whether it's at the City Hall office or at the SPCA license office.
Okay, and the unfortunate thing about lost pets and unwanted pet population is the issue of euthanasia, which I know is the last resort and thing that we don't really want to think about much, but happens too frequently. What can the community do to reduce the pet population that results in euthanasia?
The first thing we always recommend is learn the truth. Come visit our shelter, just take one walk through and you will see the huge population that we have. The second thing is spay and neuter your own animals. And if you really care about your community, help support some more spay and neuters. The numbers are outstanding. One set of kitties can produce 420,000 cats in 6 years, and the same dogs could produce 67,000 dogs in 6 years. So that's a lot of homes for us to find.
Absolutely.
If each person would just help spay and neuter 4 more animals, we would see a reduction in the amount of animals that come into the shelter.
Okay, very good information. Now, what is the Pet Responsibility Act that I believe was recently passed by the Fresno City Council? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we're really thrilled to have that in action right now, because what we see is that perpetually it is offenders that do it over and over again, let their animals out, let them run at large. They can find each other within 5 miles, which means that's a lot of unaltered animals could be in that 5-mile radius.
Right.
So now what it is it's similar to a 3-strike situation. So the first time our officer encounters an animal at large and we find the person attached to them, we would give them a warning and education about the laws and ordinances that are in our community. Then the second time that it happens, they would give them a citation for $100. If they have to go out for a third time with the same person and animal, then they will enact the Pet Responsibility Act, which includes the $200 citation, as well as they must now alter all of their animals and microchip all of them.
Okay, and how long has this law been in effect?
I believe the date was June 24th. So it's just
fairly new.
Very new.
Okay.
And this gives our officers some extra tools, because what we see is that it's the human beings that create the issue, not the animals.
Very good. Yeah, excellent point. Any other, in our last minute, issues or topics that you think need to be covered by the public? What else does the public need to know about responsible pet ownership?
They need to know a lot more about their own animal control and their own animal shelter. Please come down, visit us, take a tour, volunteer, get involved, and use your voice.
Okay. Beth, thank you very much for being here with us today. Appreciate the information, and I think it's very valuable for the public to have. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
All right. My guest has been Beth Caffrey. She is the Humane Education Administrator for the Central California SPCA. If you need more information on dog licensing requirements in the City of Fresno, you can visit the City of Fresno website at fresno.gov/dog license, or you can call the number on your screen, 621-CITY. That's 621-2489. And that's it for this edition of Fresno City Vision. Thank you for joining us. I'm Randy Reed. We'll see you next time.